so today is the first day off I've had in a while, and I'm actually gonna go and get some trail shoes for my upcoming Spartan race, which is my first obstacle course race I've ever done. It's the actually, I did an easy Tough Mudder many years ago, but I already forgot about it. This is the first Spartan race I've ever done, and this is gonna be 2 weeks after the marathon. So October 20th, I'm doing the marathon, which is a road race, and then November 2nd and 3rd, I'm doing the Spartan Trifecta, which is a half marathon with 30 obstacles on Saturday, and then Sunday morning, it's a 10K with 25 obstacles, I believe, and then Sunday afternoon is a 5K with 20 obstacles. Something along those lines. I may be off by 5 obstacles on one of those races. So I wanna go over the shoes I have. For road running, these are the first shoes I got. This is the Hoka Mach 6. So these are very highly recommended by a lot of people. I have a foot issue called Hallux Rigidus, which basically means that the big toe on my right foot doesn't really bend. And this was recently diagnosed. It's from an injury about 4 years ago. I was going to a gymnastics class. I did front handspring, and I jammed my big toe, and it basically never healed. I didn't do enough to heal it, and so I require some special stuff like orthotics and things like that. Doctors basically told me not to run, not to do anything that bends the big toe, which I think is stupid because that's pretty much everything. But I was given these orthotics, which are stiff and getting sand everywhere. And it comes with a special, this one comes with a special little thing on the bottom. It's essentially an extra lift on the big toe. It's called a Morton's extension. So all the doctors recommended Hokas. I got these Mach 6. I went to a Fleet Feet and they said that this is gonna be the best shoe for me. In about 2 months, these shoes like completely wore down. I'm a little bit heavier than your average runner, but I'm like 186. So that really shouldn't impact it that much. I'll show you some pictures. So I had to relocate because my camera battery died. So as I was saying, the Hoka was highly recommended. Doctors are obsessed with Hokas. So anytime you ask them if you have foot problems, they're always gonna recommend Hokas. They're never gonna recommend any other brand. They told me that On Running was like more aesthetic than structural, which I think depends on the shoe. I'm learning a lot about shoes since this happened. So basically these wore down after 2 months. And I'll show you the pictures comparing the new model because I went back in there. I was getting all sorts of foot problems, which after a lot of figuring out and going to physical therapy, I realized were because of a weak arch. My toe does get very sore after a lot of running, but it can usually loosen up with some stretching and a little bit of rest. I went to a new doctor this week. Previous doctors, they said Hokas, don't run, don't do anything. This new doctor understands athletes, and basically she said that it can either get better or worse, but you're never gonna know. Like whether I work out, whether I run, or whether I just sit still, it could still get worse over time. So there's no direct relationship of my activity to my condition worsening. And so basically that told me I need to keep going to physical therapy. I need to take better care of my feet, strengthen my arches like I was doing in PT, but I don't have to stop doing the activities. So I've been on sort of a shoe journey. I replaced the Mach 6, which I hated even though everyone loves, with the Saucony Endorphin Pro. These are more of a racing shoe because they have a carbon fiber plate in the middle, which means they don't bend, right? So it's like a rocker shoe, which doctors recommended. The new doctor said she doesn't recommend only running in carbon fiber plated shoes because you want to have some give. Otherwise, you run the risk of basically getting a stress fracture in the long run. So I did get these at first. These are great. These are the best shoes I've ever worn. For a race shoe, I also tried the Nike. I think it was the Vaporfly, which got popularized during the last Boston Marathon because the guy who set the world record, I don't remember his name, but I'll show you a picture here, set them in those Nike Vaporflies. And I think he did a sub 2 hour marathon, but they just felt like they weren't structurally sound. They were plated, but it felt like I was running in stilts. These are amazing. The mesh here is all stretchy. The laces are stretchy. The tongue is stretchy, which is really helpful because when I got the top of foot pain, I thought that it was because of a thing called lace bite, which hockey players get. And so any sort of give around the top of the foot was super helpful. Even though it wasn't lace bite, it's still really comfortable to run in. They're very light, responsive shoes. And they were about $50 cheaper, which was helpful. So these are an expensive race shoe, but just because of my condition, I need something that's gonna be supportive all the time. So this is gonna work for the marathon. I still have some other shoes coming for like longer distances. This whole process has cost me quite a bit of money. But the other shoes I have are the Mount to Coast, which I'll do a review on once I get a chance to run in them once they arrive. It's a new brand. And then I'm also headed out today to get some trail shoes for the Spartan race. It's obviously not safe to run trails and do obstacles in a shoe like this. But this is basically where I am now. I'll show you what I land on once I leave REI with a trail shoe. Ideally, I'm gonna use these insoles during the race. And I was told, which makes my search a little bit easier, that I don't necessarily need a plated shoe for the trail shoe, especially since most of my running is gonna be on the street. And then I have a few trail races per year. This one's sort of a new thing for me, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'll show you what that looks like. Running has been a new journey. I've been on and off running for a very long time, since I was basically 16, but I'll take a lot of time off, focus more on climbing or focus more on lifting. This is the first time that I've been really consistent in approaching it as a sport and learning about foot health and learning about my gait and my mechanics while I run, being quicker on my feet, staying over my feet the whole time, the position of my foot when it strikes the ground, like heel strike versus forefoot. So all of these things I'm learning a lot about, as well as nutrition, which I'll have future videos on. So it's been a real journey balancing that with the other activities I do. Lifting for starters, and then also climbing. So I'll be talking about that more as I go on, but it's been a really exciting journey. And I'll take you with me as I go to check out some of the trail shoes or kind of post here what I end up with, and we'll see how that goes. I also wanted to show you this new watch that I got. So this is the Garmin Forerunner 965. I'm typically not a watch person, but I decided since I started my running journey, this is something that I would invest in. Fortunately, I didn't have to. My birthday was coming up, so I did take advantage of having a gift and getting this watch, which normally I wouldn't do. It's got a lot of cool functionality, so you can create a lot of different workouts. So I do track my strength in climbing. To be transparent, like, I don't really care. I'm mainly doing it to learn how to use the watch. The only thing I really care about is any sort of cardio. Like running, you can also do hiking on here, where it's going to give you an idea of like elevation gain and things like that. But yeah, I love the running aspect because you can set your own workouts, or you can just do a stop and go type of thing, and you can have this with the app automatically upload to Strava. Which is a big deal because I recently started using Strava. I was kind of old school in doing Map My Run, and so it's helped to be able to see all of those stats. So going into Strava, you can look at all your different activities. Like, I know people have used this for a while. This is kind of new for me just because I was using Map My Run. I was only sort of paying attention to paces, but what's really helpful now is that I can just do it on the watch, and then it uploads automatically. So I like keeping track of the paces and the calories and the effort and the zones of running as well, to know if I'm in like a zone 2 or a zone 3. But the watch is also great because you can control everything from here, upload your own workouts. There are lots of different functionalities, but admittedly, it's been quite frustrating for me just because it's learning a new technology, and there's a lot of detail in it and not a lot of buttons, so there's a lot to figure out. But overall, really glad that I got it and I have it to use on my runs. Okay, I had to make a stop at my favorite place, Romancing the Bean, which is a great cafe, to get their cookies. They get from Vegan Madness. They don't make them themselves. But let's see which one. I got a peanut butter and an oatmeal. Oatmeal I'm saving for a friend, so I'll just take one bite. It's like the best cookie I've ever had. They're vegan, so I don't know how to explain that. I'm definitely not a vegan. I'm gonna save the rest to eat with my friend. Hold up, it's REI. And you're gonna stay in the trunk. Hello, puppy. Hello, puppy. Find out what's in here. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Hi. 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 Oh. Find out what's in there. This is Rocco. Did you cause any trouble while I was gone? No. No, you would never. Okay, so I did actually end up getting shoes. I didn't think I would. Well, I expected to, and then had a number of issues. So I've been out for like 4 hours shopping, and I'm exhausted and very hungry. That's what happens. I went to REI first, brought these with me, as well as my insoles with the Morton extension to make sure that I got the right trail shoe. It's really tough finding people that do all the sports that I'm talking about. Like, one of the issues was I went to REI and they know what a good trail shoe is, but they don't understand that I need the rigidity. And it's actually quite hard to find a trail shoe with rigidity. Most of them are pretty flexible. So they'll give you generic advice, but a lot of them don't know what a Spartan race is, or they are not runners, maybe they're hikers. So I ran into those issues. I tried on like 6 or 7 pairs of shoes. None of them were right or quite right. One of them felt okay, like 2 Hokas, but I had a really bad experience with the Hokas, as I mentioned earlier. I went to, then I left there and I went to a store called the Roadrunner. They weren't super knowledgeable on what I needed, either the stiffness of the shoe or Spartan races or extra long distances, because I needed something that could do a 5K all the way up to a 50K, because those are the Spartan races I'm signed up for. And then I went to the actual Hoka store, which I was really hesitant to do. 1, because of my experience with the Mach 6. 2, because I had seen them and tried them on at Roadrunner and REI. Both were like, I was kind of like meh on them. I tried the Stinson, which felt really good, but it didn't feel right for a Spartan race, and they were massive and bulky and really ugly. Speedgoat 6, which has been toted, is what I ended up getting from the Hoka store. So I got the Speedgoat 6. I'm actually pleased that they're not totally hideous. It's a cool color. You got like a brown, green, orange sole. These are Vibrams, Vibram soles, so I know they're good. They felt supportive. They look somewhat cool, and they're recommended by doctors, so they're gonna be good for all my foot situations, my ankle situation, all that kind of stuff. And he said I'm good up to about 200 miles of trails in these. The particular guy I spoke with was amazing because he's a marathoner, he's done Spartan races, he knows all about the shoes. When I told him about my experience with the Mach 6s, he said, yeah, those are good up to about a 5 or 10K, which nobody else had told me. Everyone was just like, go Hokas. but let this be a lesson to you. So many different types of shoes, and they all serve a very specific purpose. This has been a very expensive lesson to learn because I will have purchased like between 4 and 6 pairs of shoes over the last couple months. They're not cheap, right? These were like $150, I think, so could have been worse. But these come highly recommended. They were comfortable, so I'm pretty confident, and I got 2 months to return them, which actually includes after the Spartan race, so I can run the Spartan race and then return them if they suck. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with them. I'm learning so much about shoes. He also told me, which I didn't know, that these, as I knew they were a race day shoe, and I've been really excited about them, they only last like 3 marathons, and that doesn't include daily training, and then the technology falls apart. So that was another money sink. So I'm gonna run in these through the Detroit Free Press Marathon on October 20th. I'm not gonna throw them away, I'm gonna keep them. But now I have the daily trainer of the Mount to Coast on the way, and I'm pretty excited about those. I'm fairly confident in the reviews and stuff. So hopefully I don't have to buy any more shoes for a while. But yeah, very exhausted after a long day. So I'm going to order some takeout and chill with Rocco, watch some movies. And then this week, I mostly chill training. I got 3 5-milers Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, rest Wednesday, Thursday, and then I'm going to run my 20 on either Friday or Saturday, depending on the time. Mount to Coast S1s have arrived. S1 I think is for like street, R1 for race. And let's see what we got here. So you got the slow release of the box. There we go. All right. Just information about their technology that they put in the shoe. Nice Mount to Coast regular shoe box. First thing is, comes with poster, which is cool. I don't know where I'm gonna put this, but maybe up in my closet or something. Who knows? We'll find a use for it. Poster, shoe bag, which I imagine won't be super necessary after I start hopefully wearing these. And then the new S1s, fresh out of the box. They look really nice. Different than your average running shoe daily trainer. I've been looking for a daily trainer that is not carbon plated, so this would be that shoe. Every time I find one I like, it's carbon plated. They do have removable insoles, which is good. Try them on once as is, and then once with orthotics. So here's the thing. These feel great. They look great. I'm sure they're everything the company promised, but their return policy is not very good. So if I wear these, I cannot return them. And one of my fears, which has nothing to do with them, is that these are too flimsy for the type of shoe that I need. They bend, and I need a shoe that doesn't bend, but that's also not carbon plated, and I don't know how to find that. Okay, so we have our final resting place for shoes for now. I've decided, after I went back after PT today, I went back to that running store across the street, wanted to get some more answers. Hopefully I would find someone who was kind of familiar with my situation, familiar with shoes and all the conflicting information I've been getting from doctors and PTs and stuff. I'm very likely going to keep the Mount to Coast as a distance runner or a distance trainer. So for anything like 10 plus miles, I'm probably gonna keep these. And then I also did get the Saucony Endorphin Pros. So I had the Saucony Endorphin, I don't remember what their name, the Saucony Endorphin Pros were the race day shoe, and then the Saucony Endorphin, how did I just forget the name again? Saucony Endorphin Pro were the race day shoe. Saucony Endorphin Speed are a regular everyday trainer. So initially I went in, these things are really aesthetic. Initially I went in and they seemed like really firm, but then I tested them and I was like, oh my God, these have bend too. Basically all shoes have bend, right? So like when a doctor tells me go with a stiff shoe, but don't only train in a carbon plate, it's kind of impossible to fulfill both of those requirements. So I have to go with a stiff carbon plated shoe for the race and then a regular non-carbon fiber plated shoe for training. And this seems like a pretty good option. I ran in them, they feel amazing. And also once I add in my own orthotics, which these allow you to do, it gets even stiffer. So I ran on a treadmill with these and they felt great. These are supposed to be an everything shoe, so you can race in them, you can train in them, and they're good for up to like 500 miles, which is great because the Endorphin Pros, my race day shoe, are only good for like 100 miles, something I did not know about carbon plated shoes, which I wish I had known before I spent all this money. Fortunately, I'm getting a reimbursement from work, so two of the pairs of shoes I got have been covered. But I'm excited to run in these. They do have a plate. They have a nylon plate, so it still helps with some of the bounce and the responsiveness, which is not something that matters to me because I'm a new runner, but they're not so rigid. So they're supportive, but they're not super rigid, and that is something that matters to me because the main reason I'm doing this is for the health of my feet in the long term so that I can keep running. Having this number of shoes is not integral for most people that are just starting out exercising, running, or marathon training. Like if you look at athletes, they have a ton of shoes, but I'm not there yet. So most new runners in my position, one pair of shoes would be absolutely fine. And if I had known all this, I wouldn't have gone carbon plated because I'm not gonna crush the marathon. My goal is just to complete it. But because of my situation, I have to make sure that I have a lot of support so that I don't worsen myself for the long run. So if I had known everything that I know now, I probably would have just bought these and nothing else. But here we are. And if it weren't for the Endorphin Pros, I wouldn't have known that I love Saucony so much and they're so good they just work for me. And they look cool, which helps. So my plan was initially to run the 20 miles that I have on either Thursday or Friday in the Mount to Coast. But because I have PT later that day and I wanted to ask the PT for her recommendation as well, I might hold off on those just in case I decide to return them, and I might run the 20 in these. So it's still kind of a toss-up, but I'm likely going to keep both. Again, for regular people, this is totally unnecessary, but I've been doing a real deep dive on the internet of people that have this issue, the Hallux Rigidus issue, and they spend a lot of money on shoes and they have to get a shoe that fits for them so they can continue their activity. So I hate how much I've had to buy, but I think we're in a good spot, at least for the next year. I don't anticipate having to upgrade anything. It's probably going to be a while before I outrun 500 miles in these, and then the Mount to Coast probably have even more durability because they're supposed to be an ultra running shoe. So I have both of these probably for the next year and a half at least, maybe longer. The Endorphin Pros, maybe they'll wear out, but I doubt I'm going to sign up for too many marathons. Maybe one or two more, maybe one more in the next year. So this is kind of where we're landing for now. I'm going to do the 20 this week and we'll see how it goes. Probably going to be in the shoe. And then I'll post an update. Thanks for watching.